Hello and welcome to the GSFE Admins Podcast, coming to you live from the 2018 Fall Midwest Google Summit. My name is Lance Lennon. I'm the District Technology Director for the Eagle Grove Community School District.
My name is Carl Hare. I'm the Director of Technology for Ames Community Schools in Ames, Iowa.
I just dropped my phone, but
my name is Chad Fricks.
I'm the Director of Technology for Adele DeSoto Midburn Schools in Central Iowa.
All right. Before we get started, this is the GSFE Admin Podcast. We try to do one about every month. Sometimes we get together like this and get to do it in person and in front of an audience. So we will gladly show you who all's here later on, but right now we'll kind of go with us. And then I want to thank our sponsors. So first off, we do have people that sponsor our podcast. The equipment that you see in front of you, the microphones, the soundboard, was all donated by GoGuardian. GoGuardian's a nice way if you manage Chromebooks to keep your students safe, protect them. And the software we use is Wirecast from Telestream. They were nice enough to give it to us, and proof that it is easy to use by anyone when an idiot like Lance can run it.
True story.
Amen.
And then the audience webcam and a couple other hardware pieces were donated by Simple Ed Tech and sponsorship for the podcast. So we'd like to mention our sponsors, say thank you to them, and then kind of go forward from there. Do have a couple of announcements to talk about. One is if you are a GSFE admin and you have the ability to, on December 10th, we're back in the Dells for the winter one-day Google for Education Technical Conference. It's a one-day workshops in the morning, sessions in the afternoon. If you get a chance to come to the Dells in December. I've never been here then, but should be fun. We also have the Spring Midwest Google Summit back here in the Dells. March 10th, I've got Jessica giving me dates here. March 10th and 11th, back here in the Dells. And then July 16th and 17th, we're back for the two-day Google for Education Technical Conference back here in the Dells. We like the Dells.
Indeed.
And if we were farmers, we'd be the farmers in the Dell.
A great spot.
I'm betting the Tommy Bartlett ski show is a lot different in December.
So we did go to that this summer. So we had the two-day conference this summer, and we went to the Tommy Bartlett Water Show.
I had no idea how awesome it was.
It's really good. They're not a sponsor of the show at all.
No, they are not. And we thought it was just going to be the water show.
Now.
But they end up having it more than just the water skiing. If you've never had a chance to go to it, and we're talking to the live audience here, we would recommend that you do that. We're going to go ahead and switch over to the audience cam here because my other camera is having a little bit of technical difficulty.
No, not a camera, an audience.
Yeah,
this is true.
There
this is 2 times in a row.
That always happen.
We had an audience in October and in November. This is going to be a tough act to follow.
So those are the announcements. Carl, why don't you go ahead and start off with what you want to? I'm going to adjust the camera real quick.
Yeah, you got it. So one of the things about Google and being a GSFE admin is you got to make sure you stay on top of all the new stuff that's coming out. Google has a great blog where things are available, keeps you up to date. I subscribe to calendars, so I know what's going on. I go to that website, so I know what's going on. Yet I missed the Jamboard service being added to the dashboard as a core app. So now if you go to the dashboard, go to your core apps, G Suite apps, Jamboard's right there is Jamboard service. And when I did see it the first time, I thought, well, I don't have any Jamboard hardware because they're expensive and I would say not as useful as the app that manages or that you use with them. So I didn't turn it on until I recently noticed, and I got a notification that you can do Jamboards on the web now. You don't have to use the Android or iOS app. So you can go to jamboard.google.com, and all of your users can create jams through the web interface, regardless of their device choice. So that's really, really cool. However, if the Jamboard service is not turned on in your dashboard, you need to go take care of that. So G Suite, Core Apps, Jamboard service, turn it on for everybody. And if you're not familiar with Jamboard, it is an absolutely amazing app. We've been using the Android app on our Chromebooks for quite some time. Kids collaborating on what's basically a cloud-based whiteboard where users can share, you can have multiple pages, you can import images and draw on top of those images. It's actually what I'm going to do, work with one of my instructional coaches to try to get our math teachers to use the Jamboard app with a touchscreen Chromebook so that they can do their math notes, they can draw graphing, do all sorts of really cool stuff, and then have that projected wirelessly to either a projector or a TV. So some really, really cool stuff with the Jamboard app that does not require the expensive Jamboard piece of hardware at this time, but definitely something that you should turn on and start playing around with and make available for your users.
And not all functions are available on the web. Like you still can't insert drive files from the web yet. They should be coming. Secondly is the Jamboard app itself works best, doesn't not work with the others, but works best with a convertible Chromebook or a tablet like the Tab 10 and a stylus that uses a stylus. Those combinations give you the most functionality inside of the Jamboard, and that's kind of one of those things. I too think it's a great one. I used it at ISTE as my note-taking tool and my wonderful sketchnoting capabilities. You really should have seen the beautiful, beautiful notes I was taking.
Figures.
A lot of stick figures, a lot of circles, a lot of arrows. You know, I can't draw very well. I'm not Simon.
Wow. Hello, my name is Simon, and I like to draw drawings.
Oh,
Where have you been?
Sorry,
Copyright Saturday Night Live.
Actually, that was from PBS many years ago.
Oh.
It was an actual.
SNL did it.
Carl is younger than the rest of us, so.
Yes,
he
I'm
doesn't
a
remember
wee
that
whippersnapper.
You are.
Okay.
wee whippersnapper.
Chad, Chrome 70 dropped.
It did, and it's beautiful.
I concur.
If you haven't gone to Chrome 70 yet on your device, you should, because it's pretty. It's sort of starting to look like Android. Do either of you find that funny?
I wonder why that might be happening, Chad.
I wonder why that might be happening. I have predicted for so long that the two OSs are going to merge into a single OS, like Windows, but better.
And functional.
But functional.
And functional. No, so I think this is another step towards that, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And it just adds to the when you first had to force the file migration for your Chromebooks, your Android on Chrome.
It did.
The file system changed from a traditional quote unquote computer file system to an Android file system, a mobile device file system. So now we have an OS wrapper that's putting on there that's looking more and more like that. The thing that is really, really cool, and I didn't even notice, actually it's Chad Kafka that brought it up to us. If you have a convertible Chromebook, when you open it to tablet mode, all the apps show up on the screen. The desktop's gone. So you have all of your apps there. And so now those of us that looked for tablets and these to get rid of our iPads, but the teachers didn't really like that the kids had to look for the apps, now they're just going to be there. And I don't have you updated your Chrome tab to 70 yet?
No, I haven't.
So what I'm curious about is when we update our Chrome tabs that don't have a keyboard, they're basically always in tablet mode. Are we going to ever simmer down? Are we ever going to see a desktop?
I don't know what happened there.
He's going to go get his Chrome tab.
We'll be listening in on this. We'll never know that Chad jumped up just like his pants were on fire and
got to update the Chrome tab.
Okay.
So Lance, have you played around with 70 yet?
I've played with 70. I haven't played on my tab. I just updated my tab Friday before I left, so I didn't have a chance to play with it, but was playing with 70 on my, I have a Dell 3189 convertible touch screen that I was using, and what I found was one of the accessibility features in 70 didn't work like it did in 69, and that is where you highlight the mouse cursor, so it has the red ring around it, or if you're in a text box, it puts the yellow box around it so it notifies you where you are. That is supposed to, after about a few seconds of not use, those are supposed to go away to not distract from the rest of the screen. It doesn't go away. So under accessibility, I did find that was an issue. It stays. So your mouse is always circled by a red circle. It was on mine, and that's the only thing. But I love it. I just being able to. I think I like the tray better. I like the UI. It's a lot cleaner.
The tray, as in the bottom bar?
Yeah.
You mean the Apple dock? I mean the shelf? Yeah.
The shelf,
all the apps
sorry.
are centered now. I wish that all my apps weren't forced to be centered. I would like to have them to the left.
I'm OCD, so centered is better.
No. The other thing that comes with 70 also. Is I had to create a special little OU. We had a few students that really needed to benefit from the night shift or the night light. So in order to do that before 70 dropped, you had to actually go into the flags find the flag and you could turn it on. It's actually been there for a long time, but most people that manage Chromebooks, you block access to flags and some of that stuff because kids could get to where they're not supposed to. So I would drop a kid in there, I'd talk to the parent, drop a kid in there, they'd switch that on, and then I'd kick them out of that OU so they could have that night shift or take that blue kind of hue away from the screen. And now it's by default, it's available for all the users in 70, so you can turn it on and off directly from the settings, which is really, really cool for those people that take advantage of that. I know that that's a setting that we've seen in our mobile devices, our phones, for some time. Having it now for our laptops or Chromebooks for our kids is really, really cool as well. Even to the fact that Apple is throwing it into their newest OS too.
Well, there's been
they're kind of the last to get to that.
Yeah, there's
actually
been some studies with that whole night light, taking the blue light spectrum out of the
Blue light, they say, is what keeps kids'
you
brains
awake.
active, so they don't get to sleep or sleep well. And the interesting though is that we're not going to be able to drop 70 to our kids.
Maybe we might be able to.
Well,
we
not
might
right
be able
now.
to.
Right now, because the state of Iowa.
Don't push my buttons with this stupid test.
The standardized test, which used to be the Iowa Test of Basic Skills or the Iowa Test of Educational Development, is now going to be online, and they are saying right now it's not tested with 70, so stop at 69.
Unless you're Chad.
Unless you're Chad, because I don't care.
They're doing the
going
paper.
70 anyway.
So my guess is by the time we test 70, you'll be fine. But right now we had to hold off and say, whoa.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. I know that in a number of other states, well, we're in Wisconsin.
We are
right?
in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
This is the dairy state.
Wisconsin, the udder state. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. Have had to worry about locking in Chrome OS for a long time. Something new for us, and part of our problem with this is there's a lot of politics with our state assessment that aren't very fun. But it's kind of a bummer, but I do think we'll have 70 available by the time it is tested. They've been playing around with the beta test. One of the advantages of working with a local company like Pearson is they can beta test the OS and their TestNav app early.
For those of you who aren't watching the podcast, there were air quotes
around
local.
It also is kind of, I'm sitting up here and I really feel like it's the Final Four or something, because we're all up here at the table talking and all of us have Coke products proudly displayed right at the front of the table.
Also not a vendor.
But not a supporter, not a sponsor.
I'm still trying to get Monster to sponsor our podcast. They could send us free Monster, that's fine. So if anyone's listening from whoever distributes Monster energy drink.
Yes, because I'm sure lots of people that
we would probably
distribute Monster Energy drink are listening to our podcast.
Mm-hmm. We could send it unsolicited.
I did not say this yet, and I totally forgot. This should have been something we led off with. We've been invited to join the Edu Podcast Network.
We have?
We have been invited to join
the
Edu
deal.
Podcast Network.
They don't know what they're getting into.
No. So the Edu Podcast Network is a network of education podcasters. There are some great podcasts in that network that we are now part of. Our friends at Dads and Ed are part of that podcast. Our friends at Partial Credit are in that podcast. I think the Google Clan podcast is in there. So I was very excited.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Thanks, Lance, for hooking that up for us. That's a good deal.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
So because we're at the Midwest Google Summit, whenever we do live, we always like to say, hey, what's your favorite thing that you've seen or what's a new thing that you've learned? So Lance, what is a new thing that you have picked up or seen here at the Midwest Google Summit this year? Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, why don't you? Yeah, because you probably have one.
I do.
You would think that'd be in the show notes, but
it is. It's right there. What's new at Midwest Google Summit?
You just added that.
One of the things that
as we sat here added that at the bottom of the show notes.
One of the things I like to do is I like to go to a session, even if it's one that that I'm familiar with. Like I'll go to Chad's Googly workflows or Hank's workflows because I always like to try to pick up something more efficient. Right? There's always something we can learn. I can come up with a formula, but Hank might do it a more efficient way. One of the things that I learned from Hank is the spark lines, which is really kind of cool. It's a formula that basically puts a graphical representation of your data right into a cell in a Google Sheet. So in his workshop that I sat in on, it was about visualizing student data, and it had this little graph underneath the attendance or their grades or number of tardies, and depending on where it fit in this line, it would grow larger and turn red or yellow or whatever. and it was called Sparklines. So a very cool new formula that I learned about. Something new for me to try when I get back to my office. Did I give you enough time, Lance?
No. Yes. So I tried to branch out this year in sessions that I did, and one of the things I did was a Google Classroom 101 for beginners. Did I happen to mention this is for beginners? 1 hour session on that, and it's one of those things I knew, but I had forgotten, and it was fun to see again because it solved a problem that I was going to know I was going to have when driver's ed started up again, is the ability inside of Google Classroom to open your classes up to anyone with a Gmail address, not just anyone in the G Suite domain, not just anyone in whitelisted domains, but literally anyone with a Gmail address, and still have the ability to block your kids from joining ones outside of your domain or outside of your whitelisted. Because driver's ed, we share the teachers in our district, it's taught in our district, but 4 other districts send kids in, and a lot of times we've had them, whitelisted those domains. But this coming year, we have a homeschool student who is going to be taking driver's ed, who is not in any school domain. So that was one of those things that I remembered. It works. Chad, he's really happy. He's interrupting my...
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Cool.
No, that's awesome. So, and then another thing that I learned that's really cool is in Chrome 70.
That's not your tablet.
If you're in a tablet, like on the Chrome Tab 10,
totally stealing it.
the apps do just show up natively on the desktop.
No, but
Okay.
okay, stop.
You talk about it's yours. Sorry, it's yours. Sorry.
Chad?
Never play with somebody else's tech without their permission.
Oh, it's my turn.
It is. Your name is Chad.
So what we just discovered. So this is not on topic, really.
Sure it is. Something
On
new
the-
you learned at Midwest
Okay, I
School
just
Summit.
learned it. Okay. So, but I have something else too.
Oh.
In 70, you can now group apps like on Android inside of the Chrome OS. What's the official name for the app launcher thingy?
The app launcher thingy. I don't know what official title it is.
The app launcher thingy, you can now group apps in there by clicking and dragging there. So if you have a convertible Chromebook. So again, much more Android-like.
Right.
And it goes into the circle. I'm showing people that are here. You click and drag. Let me find something more googly, because Carl started to group all the Google things together.
I did.
So if you have an Android phone, how you group apps together and something else that we discovered in the admin console, you can group Android apps inside of the admin console and push whole groups of apps to devices. So there's 2 new buttons within the admin console. This is again not on topic actually, sort of. I didn't learn that here.
That's fine.
Inside the admin console, when you go to Android App Management, there are 2 new buttons just to the right of the left menu. So along the left side of the screen, there's a menu with your normal stuff where you search for new apps. So you can pick Chrome or Android apps. And just to the just to the right of that is a small white bar with 2 new buttons. And in there, you can create groups of apps and then push whole groups of apps. So it's nice.
They're called collections.
Collections,
Yep,
yes.
you can create collections.
Create collections of apps. So like, for instance, maybe like if you use, there's a whole bunch of different free Adobe Android apps that allow you to manipulate images. So I created an Adobe collection and then was able to push the whole collection instead of having to do every one all by itself over and over, because there's like 12 of them.
Yes, there's a lot of them.
So something I just wanted to share. So something I enjoy about presenting at conferences like this is learning from the people I present to. So in my sessions, I always open up to ask people their ideas and how they're using something that I'm presenting about. In my Data Studio, which is also cool.
Oh,
I
yeah,
haven't touched
you bet.
Data Studio yet. It is
worth your time.
Amazing tool that is free to K-12 within the Google ecosystem. It's a data visualization tool. I did a session on it yesterday, and it's awesome. But a woman in there yesterday had a pretty cool idea on how to use it, and she was using it to collect student data. So she connected a data dashboard to a spreadsheet which students submitted via form data on what books they were reading. And so like the book title, the genre, and all that. And so she built a data dashboard that was the most popular books and the who's reading what right now. And the way she described it was quite cool. I was struggling myself to think of a way that you could use a data dashboard with kids. And she opened my mind with just that simple example up to, then my mind just started cranking the way my head works. And just that simple example started my brain going, and now I have like 80 ideas in my head on how to use it with kids. And that's what we should do, right? We should turn all of this into how to use it with kids. Well, not all of it, but most of it. And so I was struggling, and her idea helped me get over my hurdle of how to use this with kids. And now I have a whole bunch of ideas, and I'll edit my presentation next time to include some of those.
So was that a classroom teacher or a librarian, librarian?
I don't know what she did.
Okay.
I think she was a classroom teacher, but she was just collecting student data on what they were reading,
right.
what books they were reading. How many schools don't do that? Usually it's like outside your door, like I'm currently reading whatever. The teacher puts it there.
Right.
But she was doing it with kids. Right. And it was a very cool idea that just then started my brain churning.
Right. Because then she could drop that link into a website. She could drop that link into, if she's using Seesaw or some other tool to share to parents, to give them that authentic audience. Because that's one of the things that is the biggest deal with our classroom teachers and with our kids, is trying to figure out how students can have an authentic audience to showcase their work. That's awesome. That's awesome. And knowing that, I totally would have never thought about it, but I'd used to do a Forms to the Max session where I helped a teacher build daily 5, so the kids would slide what they would do.
Yes.
And then we visualized it with a tab for each kid, and it had a little chart.
Yeah.
Well, with this, she could build a dashboard and then use that way easier to show parents. And for her when the kids come for like conferences. Yeah. Right? So yes. I could bring up Jose and boom, here we go. Or bring up Sally or whatever. That's great. And it's super easy, right from a spreadsheet.
You could even go beyond that, because obviously Data Studio is web-based, and you can password protect your visualizations. So if you wanted to take that to the max.
Right, yeah. I did. Well done.
You went to Saved by the Bell.
No.
How few people got that reference?
Screech, you ruined everything.
Where's my giant mobile phone with the big antenna?
Anyway, you're going to make it better? You're going to take the Google Forms Max.
You could build an individual visualization that hooks to just every kid. So you could point your visualization. So when you connect a data source with all your tabs, you could create an individual data visualization for every kid and password protect that with a unique password and have that web-based. So the parent could, with a password you provide, have access to just their kid's data live, like for all data. Wow, I have to make a mental note. That's an awesome example. Yep. It would require a bunch of work, but you can copy them. So, that's awesome. So Carl just explained that there was a tab in his spreadsheet for every kid. So you could make the initial data visualization and just copy that, make a copy and change where it pointed to every tab for every kid and put a unique password there and share that with the parent with the link.
So the parents could have continued access to their kids' progress.
A live data dashboard to their kids' information with whatever. Oh my God, my mind just exploded.
Why don't you turn your mic around? You're talking into the back of it there.
Oh, sorry.
There.
I didn't set this up.
No. I was waiting until he was done talking.
I can't wait that long.
Okay, fine.
Because you never know when he's going to quit talking.
That was this moment of nerdy clarity.
Now my mind is churning even faster. Just that one woman's example of the sort of the what I'm reading now dashboard, but what you just said. So that's what's awesome about these conferences is you just sort of sit around with like-minded people, right? And then they mention something that just spurs another idea in your head, and you just roll with it. It's awesome.
Agreed, absolutely.
Oh, this is fun. This is good stuff.
So he's now imagine. Yeah, there you go.
So imagine.
Should we start building it on screen?
So standards-based report cards usually suck from your SIS, right? Unless you pay a lot of money and have them customized. With Data Studio, you could build your own standards-based report card based on your SIS data and password protect them individually for well, it would be hard, but every student, it would be possible.
But you could build a pre-filled form with how they're standing currently on the standard, have it standards based, then they can update what it is, then it gets populated to that tab.
Yeah.
And then the parents can go in and look at it any time to see how they're progressing
on this month's episode of the
Holy
GSFE
crap.
Admins podcast.
Yes.
Carl
No,
and
that's a
Chad
great
go
idea.
off on a
That's
tangent.
awesome. And all that's free.
So
Well, your SIS isn't. But.
I wanna know. I need to look more now after the podcast. So it would be labor intensive to set individual passwords, but if there's an API and you could do it from some sort of command to like copy.
To auto-generate random
Right.
passwords, but
Right.
still pass them out.
Right.
Yeah. So
There you
there's,
go.
it's a Google thing. So there's got to be an API that you can connect.
Ah, that's awesome. That's super
but just
cool.
because there is an API doesn't mean it's a free API.
That's true.
That's also true.
That's true.
So-
and Data Studio is a pay-for thing for
Enterprise, yep.
It's
Which-
only free to us.
Correct.
So
Oh, this is
awesome. Well, let's take a little time because now that Chad's all excited and going to go off on a tangent, if we continue to let him talk, is there any questions from the audience today? And we are going to actually switch cameras, so you will be seen here. And
It's all
So if
quiet.
if you called in sick to work to be at the conference, you might want to hide your face.
Sucks to be you.
no questions from the audience?
Crickets. We need that. We need a soundboard thing that goes. We can
A
push
Foley board?
The push buttons for like crickets
Foley
noises
board.
and stuff.
If that's what it's called, I don't know. Okay.
What did Lance call it?
A Foley board?
Foley board.
Because aren't
There's like web-based ones.
they make the noise, they do all the sound effects, they're called
Yes.
Foley artists, movies?
Oh.
Today I learned. Well, maybe while we're waiting on
We don't have any
questions,
from the audience.
a couple other things that are new. For the last month or so, you've had Google protecting us from government-backed attacks on our domains and on our emails. And around about October 10th, it was turned on by default now to now send you a report if you ever are under a government-based attack. I'm pretty sure K-12 isn't exactly the market for this particular thing, but if you do want to turn it off, you go to the dashboard, go to reports. But I'm actually talking now. It sounds like I'm talking by a campfire.
Ooh, fireside chats. It's our next podcast.
You can go to the reports, notifications, and go down and turn it off. But right now, you'll still get they're still protecting you, just you're not getting the notifications as a super admin. You can turn them off.
And which government are they protecting us from?
All of them, except our own.
Dun dun dun.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can make a statement on that. Today's election day.
It is election
by
day.
the way, midterms.
We sort of slipped that right in.
Get out and vote. Get out and vote.
By the time you listen to this, though, it will
It
be
will
over.
not be election day.
That's
Today
true.
is
So
election
don't
day.
go
That's true.
vote.
I voted
We do have a
absentee.
live audience, so if you haven't voted, go do that, which might be hard because you're here, but drive home quick.
Most polls close at 9 o'clock around the country, depending on your time zone. So take advantage of it. Exercise your right to vote, even if you're voting for the wrong people. Former social studies teacher.
Two
this,
former.
yeah, absolutely. This for me is an amazing time. I used to love election time when I was in the classroom. Gave me all sorts of cool stuff to talk to kids about how important it is to participate in our democracy.
And now he hates talking about it. So
No, I still love talking.
okay.
You want to get off on another tangent? We'll go sit in the
Nope.
corner and talk politics. We'll have a whole lot of fun. Whole lot of fun.
This is a
Don't
different
need that.
podcast.
Another thing that's happening, admin-wise, is they will be phasing out the old contacts. So new contacts will be your only go-to for contacts anymore. So you might want to start talking to your staff about it. Currently, they are in stage 1 of the stage 3 rollout. And what it is what's going to happen is your staff, if they're using old contacts, if in the admin council you have the ability to turn on new contacts, but your people still have the ability to opt out and go back to old contacts. If you don't turn it on, they actually, when they go to contacts now, they're going to get a pop-up that says, hey, try the new contacts. They can still opt out. Stage 2 is they will actually be forced to new contacts, and we'll still have the ability to opt out. and that's in the beginning of February, I think February 2019, and then February 19th of 2019 is when I believe the date is that new contacts is going to be it. Old contacts will be gone, and you will only be able to use new contacts, and then it will just be called
Contacts.
So that was new.
It is.
Newer.
That is new.
Ish. Carla's still up here playing with.
I'm making folders. I'm so excited about that.
That is pretty cool.
Now I wish, how great would it be if those collections are folders of apps that show up on your devices?
I wonder if they.
No.
Yes, they do.
No, they did not.
They sync across devices. So I have my Chrome tabby thing here, and Carl was playing with it and put crap in folders.
I organized your Google Docs. Most
And
of them.
he put crap in a folder.
I did.
And it's synced to my convertible Chromebook. I did not do that on this side. What?
That's fun. I'm very excited about that.
So it's obviously a user-based setting, so it stores that information in your user profile.
Mm-hmm.
So now wherever I log into a convertible Chrome that has this app launcher, it's going to group those the same way. That is absolutely sweet.
What's going to happen?
I wonder if
though
it's
you-
manageable.
That's what I'm saying. The
That's what he
collections.
said.
The collections in
Right,
the
become
thing.
the
automatically
folders.
pushes them out as a folder.
Because how many of you have to manage AppleSuck's iPads? And one of the major complaints is the collections that you can't manage for teachers because they complain. So when you push out new apps, well, can you just push out a collection and make them all groupy grouped? No, I can't. Sorry, you're going to have to do that. And they have to do it for every iPad, right?
So
But
if it
this
Googles you are
is
listening and that is
user-based.
not already happening, if you push out a collection, if you could kindly put them in a folder.
So here's the thing though. Just like when that file migration changed, you start to kind of read the tea leaves a little bit about, oh, this is probably coming. Now 70 looks like this, and now we can make folders. We have collections within the dashboard already. I mean, really, is it that much of a leap to think that those collections could actually be folders full of apps on, not folders full of women, binders full of women? That's something different entirely.
Oh, wow, there's a
folders
callback.
full of, I know, right? Politics. Folders or collections of apps on your Android compatible Chrome devices. That's not a big leap at all, I don't think.
Not at all.
Ding.
That is interesting.
Look in your settings on 70, because here's the other thing too. When 70 dropped, is Linux now available in it?
Only on non-domain controlled Chromebooks.
Okay. Because I have the one-touch Chromebook that I saw it in there, but it's not under my domain. That's kind
Correct.
of my personal player. So.
Chad, have you played around with that? The Linux
Sorry,
on Chrome devices yet?
I was distracted.
Yeah, and go figure.
No, but I'm excited for that. So I'm waiting for some admin council-y stuff to manage that within the EDU domain.
So
There's no reason to proceed until that. I mean,
Yeah.
correct.
Right.
Do most of the people in the room have any idea what we're talking about? That Linux applications are coming to Chrome-based devices?
No, on 70, they're already there. So if you have a personal account and you have your own Chrome device and you update to 70, you can access Linux applications
You
within
do have
Chrome
to turn
OS
it
7.
on
You have to
in
turn,
the settings.
You have to turn it on in settings, yeah. But you can install Linux-based applications and run them natively on your Chromebook now, and that's a game changer.
What's some use cases for that, Chad?
Oh my God!
Yeah,
So.
how many Linux apps are you using in education? I mean,
Well,
Open
none
Office?
right now because who uses Linux in education? But everyone has a freaking Chromebook, right? So once it comes and we can manage what we allow them to access, we could use so many more. One that pops right in my head is GIMP.
Yep.
So like if you don't know GIMP, it's graphical
source.
image manipulation something program.
Program. We'll say it's program.
Photoshop.
It's Photoshop, free and open source.
close to Adobe at this point in time. It does for Photoshop if you're just doing Photoshop, but it doesn't come close to the suite, from what I understand.
No, but there's other tools. So you'd have to what? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But
So what
that
Elijah
I
said
would
is
block
one
for
is
kids because
that there's not the
obviously-
full Adobe suite and that or anything similar to the full Adobe suite. It's just GIMP, which
It would
could
be
replace
just Photoshop.
right?
Yeah.
But then command line was the other one. Is do they have access to command line? In that they would have a total. They would have a Linux device right there is what they'd have. And so anything you can do on a Linux device now you have on the Chrome side.
Exactly. So like
How would a filter work though?
it would still
It would still be the same.
So would you still have control? Like they figure out pseudo commands.
right. So
Right.
you would probably not give students access to terminal.
Just like
I mean,
most
That's what
of
we're saying.
you.
Is,
if
with
you were a
this
Mac
being
admin,
live,
you didn't
is
let
this something
students
on the
launch
admin
terminal.
side in education we need to have control over? Because I'm not going to give anybody just complete access to a Linux box on my network because, boy, them script kiddies are going to go to work. Luckily, my kids are apathetic and don't care. And
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
Mine are not.
So, yeah. So like another one I just pops in my head, Inkscape, the arty type stuff.
but I was thinking like LibreOffice or
Yeah. So the
OpenOffice.
vector graphic manipulation, Inkscape,
So I mean,
LibreOffice,
Well,
Open Office.
Why would
whichever one you
why would
prefer.
I want LibreOffice
I'm just
if I
saying
have
you
offline?
could.
Oh, okay. I was
I'm
like,
saying
I have
you
offline Google
could.
Docs.
Could.
Yeah.
You could.
Just because you could doesn't mean you should.
But then
Exactly.
people LibreOffice is more like Word. So maybe those hardcore Word people would be.
Has anybody done a comparison, documents, Libra and Word, to see, Google Docs, Libra, and Word, to see differences? I use Libra all the time, and everything that I do converts right over to Excel.
So in my previous district, we didn't buy Microsoft products, and we used OpenOffice, which is LibreOffice. It's a branch, right? So pretty much the same thing. So so they had the choice of using OpenOffice or Google Docs. It has some more advanced functionality that you use once every 12 years, kind of thing, where Google Docs is sufficient most of the time, right? So
yeah.
yeah.
No. But just it does. It opens up a whole new world, and
It
of course,
does.
then it also opens up a whole new can of worms.
Right.
Yep.
So it hasn't dropped in K-12 domains. I think they're probably building the back-end admin stuff first.
We hope. And if you're
We hope.
listening, people at
Right.
Google,
They
please.
do. For whatever reason, they do. Listen.
Speaking of can of worms, one of the topics that have been coming up here in my district a lot is allowing teachers, administrators, school board members, whoever, accessing school district data on personal devices. So I want to be able to check my work email on my personal iPhone or my personal Android tablet. How do you guys handle that right now? What are some things one of the things that we're worried about is that data going to get beyond my control? Right, so that's the security issue there. We haven't been told by any federal organization or state organization says we have to handle it a particular way. But where are you guys at right now in your districts?
In my district, my users can access their email via their personal device, whether they download tie it to the mail app on their iPhone or the Gmail app on their Android, and they can access their Drive and their docs and their sheets from their phone if they choose to by downloading the apps, but we kind of ask them to not go any further than that. But it's just an ask.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't currently have a policy that's prohibiting any of that, so they have full access to all of their googly stuff.
With the advancement, how about in the room? How many of you have policies in place that says yes or no?
No, we're talking about remote desktop right now for teachers.
Okay.
That worries me a little bit, but I've been using it for 4 or 5 years personally. and It's been great.
Okay. Remote desktop sort of thing instead of just direct access. Okay.
We're working on a policy that states that they have to, one, have two-factor authentication, but two, have a passcode on their phone or personal device, some sort of password that protects that device, and that they, are forced to have it locked at all times when they're not in use.
So with a lot of updates in the dashboard now, is you can set it up so you can require your users to put a certificate, basically enroll, quote unquote, enroll into your mobile device management in your dashboard, where you can now say, if you want to be able to check your work email, you have to opt into this, which then you can push out to them, say you must have a 8-character password or a PIN number on your mobile device. One of the gotchas with that is you now have control over somebody's personal device.
Personal device.
Yep.
Correct,
Yes,
correct.
you have all of that.
Remote wipe. I can lock it, which causes some people some concern. We haven't brought it up to the level of our legal teams yet.
Right.
But it's not unheard of,
Not at all.
especially in the
corporate-
iOS side of stuff.
Right.
It's been around forever.
It's sort of a new realm in K-12, but in enterprise, it's been that way forever, right? So I think that it's going to become more of a topic in K-12, just because of the focus from nefarious sources
Right.
on K-12 data, trying to get into K-12 systems, and because we house
Which takes
a
us
lot
back to
of
thank you, Google,
people's-
for protecting us from the government hacks.
right.
True.
We house in K-12 environments a lot of personal information on every single kid from the time they enroll in preschool through the time they graduate and then beyond.
Sometimes beyond, yeah.
Yeah, and then also their parents' data
Yep.
as well in certain cases. Not as much maybe, but we still have names,
Where they
addresses,
live,
yeah,
phone
Fax
numbers.
phone numbers, yeah.
Yep.
all accessible.
Free
by
and
our
reduced
staff.
information.
Correct. And
Special
so,
ed information.
So maybe not quite
Medical information.
maybe not quite googly,
gonna
but
keep thinking of things.
there's a lot of Infinite Campus users out there. Infinite Campus made changes not too long ago and recommended that you don't give unfiltered search to everyone. How many of you had teachers complain like, I can't find Johnny who's in Mrs. Smith's room and not my room, when you turn
Right.
that on? And
Yeah.
then you had to try to explain to them that that's for a damn
Good
good
reason.
reason.
correct.
'Cause
Correct.
he's not your student, and if your account's compromised, you have access to a subset, not everyone, right?
Correct.
So this is sort of along those lines. So those of you that are shaking your heads like you had teachers freak out, imagine how much they're going to freak out when you take control of their personal phone just so they can check email on it.
Yep.
So it's something that we're going to start to have to think through, though.
Correct.
And I'm leaning way towards, heck yeah, that's our data. If you want to access it on your own stuff, then I'm going to be able to wipe your device if you come and tell me my phone's missing.
Yep.
You better be sure it's missing.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to
Yep.
wipe it.
Right. And it's all about exposure mitigation, right? So you limit. I'm gonna have a very interesting analogy, but follow me here. Boats, okay, battleships, submarines. They have compartments. So if one compartment is compromised, water only gets into that one compartment, right? It doesn't sink the whole boat. It only fills that one particular area.
Bulkheads, I think they're called.
I don't have a boat. I think there's only one person at this table that has a boat. But anyway,
It's called a bulkhead.
okay. But
That's the name of your boat?
That's the compartments that you close.
my name is Bulkhead. I love my boat. But the idea is still the same, right? Is how much are you willing to be okay with getting exposed? Because when I did my GSFE security yesterday, our biggest security flaw are our users. Right?
Always.
It's the human beings.
Yeah.
I can't come up with a technical solution to prevent an idiot from handing over their password because somebody sent them an email that looked really real.
And they needed money because they were stuck in Africa.
Correct. Or have you guys got the most recent one where somebody's asking for an iTunes gift card?
Yes,
Oh.
well, I haven't gotten it, but I've heard of it.
Yep. The spoofed email, hey, or it comes from headmaster@gmail.com. Nobody's looking, but they take the first name, so they'll put Carl Hare, and they'll get the technology director 1979 at gmail.com. Nobody will look at that, and they're like, oh, hey, do you have a minute? Is kind of what the email says, something to that effect. And then so my wife works at my school district. She got one of these emails from the headmaster. We're a public school. We don't have a headmaster. She's like, hey, what should I do with this? Oh, let's toy with him. I want to see
We're
what's
in
going on.
America. We don't have a headmaster.
I want to toy with them. So she responded back to this person, and hey, I'm in a conference right now. I can't get to this right now, but I need an iTunes gift card really fast. Can you create one and send me the number? And then I'm like, all right, don't go any further with this, but that sort of stuff is going to be a huge deal. It's been a huge deal in corporate. Healthcare have had to deal with it forever.
Yep.
Companies like Mayo, where you have your doctors running around with iPhones and stuff, accessing patient files. You want to make sure your doctor has a pretty good PIN number on it.
Yeah.
So I truly think, because of the increased look and the increased exposure that we're seeing to student information systems generally, that we're going to see. I think it might get taken out of our hands.
I
I think you're going to have state and federal laws similar to COPA and FERPA and HIPAA and all this other kind of stuff to protect that student information.
All the PUZ.
Correct.
Bless you.
And as long as we're on the security topic, what about passwords? Password management.
I think they're a good thing. Passwords are a good thing.
Okay. What do you use a password management tool?
I do. I use LastPass.
Okay.
Me too. I use LastPass extensively. I even pay for the pay version of LastPass.
What is the cost of LastPass?
I don't know. It just comes out of my auto pay thing.
He has so much money, he doesn't care what stuff costs.
Remember we said he's the only one with the boat at the table.
I really don't know. I've used it for a few years, and it just auto deducts at that time of year.
And
We get our accounts through you then.
Yes.
just charge it to Chad.
To your-
No.
Charge it to Chad.
No.
Lance, use the free version of that, right?
I use the free version.
Okay. The reason I kind of asked this particular question was how many of you have noticed as you sign up for things now, Google has the ability to suggest a password?
$24 a year for LastPass Premium.
Wow.
There you go.
It'd be like 60 for dash line.
Okay.
Ooh.
And so I don't use either of those. I just let Google do it for me.
And I understand. We talked about this earlier, and
Yep.
I have no problem with the Google one. I think Google does a great job of it, and it syncs across all your Google devices on that account.
If
Yes.
you're logged in to the browser with that account.
Yes.
Right. So my LastPass, I actually use across multiple accounts with the same login information, which means if I'm in my school account, it has and if I'm in my personal account, but they're all stored locally, so that I have one receptacle for my passwords, and I just have to remember my LastPass password.
Yep.
Which is stored in my Keeper on my phone.
Your Trapper
And then I got to
Keeper?
remember my Keeper, which uses my Face ID. So if anything ever happens to this beautiful face,
You will be locked out of everything.
You're done.
I'm gone. That's it. But since this is my moneymaker, I'm done anyway. So
This is
Oh
true.
my God.
This is true.
face for radio.
But so I just let Google make up my passwords now because I'm signing up for things. Like, hey, you want to use this password? And it's some random characters that are up lowercase. I let it create that, and then it saves it for me. So I don't pay for anything. And Google, now I will trust Google and their ability to keep things secure because, I mean, they're a corporation with access to an amazing amount of data that people want to have access to. So their security firm and budget is way higher than I could ever come up with. So I just let Google take care of it for me. They create my password. I have no idea what most of my passwords are to a number of things, but it's just saved and it works great for me. Now, it has some drawbacks, especially across accounts. But for me, it's worked really great, and I'm a real big fan of it, actually.
Yeah, I love LastPass.
And it's the same thing. You're just talking about a password manager, a password generator.
Yep.
And the easier you make it for your users to have unique, hard passwords for things, the more likely they are to do it, the better off you're going to be. It's like I say, we generate passwords for our staff, and for years I've had staff say, oh, I love that password so much, I use it for everything.
No.
And I'm just like, whoa, no, don't do that. And B, where do you bank?
Right.
It's like, don't. You need unique passwords for anything you're using, especially online nowadays, and difficult passwords.
So one of the cool things with the LastPass, I guess, ecosystem is you can do a personal security audit on all your accounts, and it'll give you a score of how secure you are based on the passwords stored in there, how many are the same, and how complex they are, and all of that. So it gives you a security score. It's really nice.
What was your score?
I haven't done it recently.
7.
Actually.
7 out of...
7,000.
I will do it. No, because I use LastPass. Every password I have is LastPass generated gibberish. I don't make my own ever anymore. Well, there's the one that you have to get into LastPass with. So
I had LastPass generate that too. No. And I said, store it for me, would you?
I'm all logged out now. I'm done.
So it used to be that passwords were most secure at the 8, 16, 24 character
not
because
anymore.
of the way they were hashed. That's not the case anymore?
Well, the brute force nowadays brute forces can get through a lot of those. The
Right.
complexity is important.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend hours talking about just password security and best way to create passwords, and should it be 8 characters, 16 characters, should it be 12 characters, is it uppercase, lowercase?
Should be 256 characters.
Should be a biometric scan of your retina
Yes.
is the only secure way to do it.
And a blood sample.
That's true too.
Well, multi-step, two-step
Two-step.
verification. Retina and finger prick.
You prick the
And DNA sample.
New Chromebooks. New Chromebooks. You put your thumb down here, little spring loaded. That sounds like a great idea. Google, don't do that.
Let's develop that.
I don't think that was probably even in the plans.
But DNA?
Special-
DNA authentication?
No. Get a little spit receptacle on every
Speaking-
Chromebook.
No, the whole screen is actually now, because it gets so goobery from the kids using it. That's just how it works.
So with touch
They just need to
that
pick
is
their
my
nose and wipe
biggest
it on the-
issue. Oh.
Like they do anyway.
When are they kicking us out of here, Lance?
In about 10 minutes, actually about 5 minutes, we should probably be
Awesome.
wrapping it up here. So,
Awesome.
because I'm sure everybody in here wants to eat at some point in time.
That's overrated.
No, it is not.
Well, you can tell I don't overrate it.
I overeat it.
This is true.
I have a question about LastPass. Is there a maximum password number in there? Just again,
Do you mean the number of
sorry.
passwords you can store?
yeah.
I've not reached it on the free, but I'm sure on the free there probably is. On the premium, I would guess there's
I
not.
don't think there is. I have thousands of them in there.
What the heck do you have thousands of passwords
No,
for?
I'm not kidding. So all of my administrative stuff is in there. So when I go to
I still
SSH,
don't understand what you would have thousands for. That's like
if I
that just
SSH
seems
into
like
a
your life
switch
is a little
at a
too
particular
complex.
IP address, it's in there because the password is different. So seriously, I have thousands of accounts everywhere. Think about it. How many services do you log into? And
Thousands.
LastPass manages all of it. All of my various VMs have a password, and they're all stored in there. And all my switches have a password, and they're stored in there. And all of my personal accounts have a password, and they're stored in there. And I have no idea what they are. So it's important that I don't forget the one password, because otherwise my whole life would end.
It's also important that LastPass never goes out of business.
Yeah. Hopefully, if they do, they offer some sort of transfer.
Nope, they're just going to cut it off one
Cut it
day.
off.
You're done.
We're done. We're closing the doors.
Here, you can print out all your
Shutter.
passwords one time. And for you, that's going to be lots of sheets of paper because
It
you
will.
have thousands.
I love printing.
He'll put it in a spreadsheet, and then he'll wrap a data studio thing around it so
With
he
the
can
password.
search for it.
Yeah.
And then he'll just
You
have
need
one
password.
password. He builds his own LastPass with a Google Sheet.
That would be fun.
Now his wheels are turning again. So we just should not give Chad any new ideas.
No, not on that one.
He's got enough right
LastPass is
now.
awesome.
All
I
right,
recommend it.
Again, we do like to thank everybody for showing up. It's fun to have a live audience. If you do have any questions, we'll stick around afterwards as you're going to lunch. Be happy to talk to anybody about anything. Trust us, we probably have an opinion. Thank you to our sponsors, Go Guardian, to Telestream, Wirecast, and to Simple Ed Tech. Again, hope to see you back here in the spring, if not in December and in July. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
And have a great day.
Thanks, guys.